Hello and welcome to your Advective weather update. Today we have a lot to talk about. This video is going to be split into 4 different chapters. The first one being on the system moving through now, the second one being on the system moving into the western US soon, the third one on that same system as it produces severe weather in the plains, and then the fourth one on what you can do after that. Alright, so here is the overview. So firstly, we have heavy snow that's stretching all the way from Arizona into the northeastern United States, stretching all the way through the Midwest as well, with widespread ice stretched all the way from Iowa into the northeast. We also have flooding and severe weather threats that are going on today. We'll be going over that in more detail soon. We also have widespread snow and ice expected tomorrow across the northern Midwest, heading into the northeast. And then as we head into 3 days out, you'll notice there that system off the coast of California bringing heavy snow and a flooding threat. And we also have lingering winter weather across the Midwest U.S. And then we also have more rain, mixed precipitation on the southern side of things. All right, well, let's talk about what happens after that in the overview. We have heavy snow in California, which then translates to a severe weather episode in the plains before we have more heavy rain that moves through all the way from Kansas, Oklahoma there, the southern plains, into the northern Midwest, and then finally winter precipitation from that could impact the northeastern U.S. as well. All right, well, let's take a look at current conditions. This is what's going on. Widespread winter weather alerts from coast to coast there. The pink regions are where we have winter storm warnings. The white regions are where we have blizzard warnings. You'll also notice some severe weather we had today there. Those yellows being severe thunderstorm warnings, the reds being tornado warnings, and the red box being a tornado watch. The severe weather threat generally is fizzling out now, though. Well, let's start the first chapter of this video. Here's the coast-to-coast winter storm and what we know right now. This prolonged winter storm is going to continue from the west coast to the northeast throughout this week, and this will be extremely disruptive to travel, infrastructure, livestock, and recreation. We also know that the greatest impacts are over portions of the high plains and upper Midwest today into Thursday, with a combination of heavy snow rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour and wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour, making travel near impossible with blizzard and whiteout conditions, with scattered tree damage and power outages also being possible. Across the Pacific coast, we also have heavy snow rates likely with wind gusts over 60 miles per hour possible. This is going to result in dangerous travel, scattered power outages, and we could also be seeing more impactful snow in less common regions of the Pacific Northwest to get it as well, as things are going to be getting rather cold. A wintry mix of heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain will impact the Great Lakes and Northeast from late Wednesday into Friday. That's today into Friday, with treacherous travel conditions likely throughout that time as well, and scattered power outages possible in the region of freezing rain. We're also going to be seeing very cold temperatures, so we'll be going over all of that here in short order. Well, here's the official forecast. Ignore the extreme conditions there near California. That's not going to be something we talk about now. That's for with the second system. You'll notice there that wide swath of moderate or higher impact stretching all the way from South Dakota into the northeast. That is associated with snowfall from the storm and strong winds as well, near blizzard conditions that could make travel rather difficult. The red regions being where major impacts are, that is where disruptive snow and wind are likely and are going to be disrupting your plans, and then the extreme impacts there in the Twin Cities, that's where you need to just be staying at home. Do not travel unless you absolutely have to. That's generally suggested across the board if you're in a moderate or higher risk here, but especially if you're in the major and extreme risks, please be extra careful. You'll also see those moderate impacts courtesy of ice stretching all the way from Iowa into Michigan, and this is over the next day or so. And we're likely to see quite a bit of ice. We'll be talking about that more here in the near future, but that second strip there south of the main strip, that is due to ice. Let's take a look at the official forecast. We have significant snowfall expected. Again, in California, that's associated with the second system, but over the rest of the Rockies, over a foot of snow could still fall, courtesy of this system beyond this point. And then you'll also see there that widespread swath in the purple of 6 to 12 inches of snow possible. And those more maroonish regions are where we could see 1 to 1.5, maybe even 2 feet of snow in local regions, according to the Weather Service forecast. When it comes to ice, we're also expecting some significant ice fall to occur as well, stretching all the way from Iowa to Michigan to the northeast. This is over the next day. You'll notice there over 1/4 of an inch in those darker colors in Iowa, and then you'll notice over 1/2 of an inch being possible there in southern Michigan. So please be watching this closely over the next day, as again, the heaviest iced regions are going to be the hardest to travel in, and we'll also have power outage concerns. In the northeast, you'll also notice there we could have a solid 1/10 or 2 of an inch of ice, maybe even 1/4 inch in some spots as the system moves through. But again, that'll probably actually be higher than that, as this is only for the next day, and the system will be moving through over the next 2. Let's take a look at the wind gust forecast here. You'll notice there in those purples, that's where 40-mile-per-hour or higher wind gusts are possible. The reddish regions there in the northern plains are where blizzard conditions are likely, as 50 to 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are possible. You'll notice that widespread swath of 60-plus-mile-per-hour wind gusts in yellow there in the southern Rockies heading into the plains. That is going to be prompting those high wind warnings that we see down there, and some blizzard conditions as well for areas still receiving snow. Let's take a look now at the trusty national blend of models. Again, ignore California, as that's not what we're looking at right now. We'll be looking at that soon. When it comes to the blend of models, you'll notice that widespread swath of 6 to 12 inches of snow, although this model is a bit more conservative on the snow totals. The Weather Service, though, has high confidence in the snow totals, so again, I would be generally erring on the side of the Weather Service with this one. When it comes to ice fall, you'll notice there that we do have higher ice accumulations, especially heading into the northeast, than we do with the Weather Service. That's because this accounts all the way until Saturday. So you'll notice there that quarter to half an inch of ice still present there in Michigan, and then again there over a quarter of an inch of ice is possible, if not likely, there in the northeast. I'd be erring on the side of the Weather Service if within the next day, and erring on the side of this beyond that for your ice forecasts right now. Let's take a look now at something that isn't being talked about as much. That's our temperatures. So very cold temperatures there, well below zero. That's at that purple and beyond region. That is going to be occurring there in the Rockies, the northern Rockies in particular, heading into the plains. Tomorrow it gets even colder with 30 below zero, temperatures not off the table. And that's not even wind chill. When we bring wind chill into it, it gets even colder. This is courtesy of the national blend of models, with well under 30 below being possible in chunks of the U.S., especially there in the northern plains. 30 to 40 below, not out of the question. So extremely dangerous wind chills are likely there in the northern Rockies, into the northern and maybe even central plains, as sub-zero wind chills are likely stretching even into Kansas. All right, well, let's talk about other chunks of this system. This is the severe weather threat. You'll notice that slight risk, level 2 out of 5, encompassing eastern Missouri into Illinois, including places like the St. Louis metropolitan area. That is not going to be of much concern. This is fizzling out now, but still be weather aware if you're within a level 1 or level 2 out of 5 with this. That's primarily driven by wind, although a spin-up tornado or some larger hail can't be ruled out either. Let's talk about the flooding forecast as well. You'll notice that slight risk stretching all the way from northeastern Missouri through parts of Illinois into Indiana, and all the way up into Michigan. That marginal risk stretching all the way from Oklahoma and Arkansas into Ohio, Pennsylvania. So this is rather widespread, and this is rather dangerous as well. Something else that we need to be looking into, as widespread rainfall is likely. So this is a rather high impact, widespread event. Let's get into the second chapter of this video. This is for the Californian winter storm. This is where we talk about those extreme winter storm impacts. This is going to be a cold and strong winter storm, bringing in a surge of moisture through the end of this week, with cold temperatures remaining over the region. Heavy rain and mountain snow are likely Thursday into Friday, with significant impacts to travel and infrastructure. Lower snow levels may bring significant snowfall to areas where snow is infrequent, so please, again, if you're in California, be aware that there are lots of areas that don't normally get snow that are likely going to get some as this moves through. We're also going to have windy conditions through the state, which may lead to blizzard conditions in numerous areas, and again, rather extreme snow amounts also possible, and blowing dust also there. We're also going to be seeing temperatures well below normal over much of the region, with below freezing readings possible in some coastal areas of Northern California, and strong rip currents are also a hazard. You'll notice that moderate risk of excessive rainfall, or flash flooding is another way to put it, impacting places like the Los Angeles metro as well. We'll talk more about that soon. So here's the Winter Storm Severity Index. You can see it rather clearly. This is a widespread extreme event, especially in the more mountainous regions of California. But you can see there most of the state within at least a moderate impact zone, most of it even in a major impact zone. So this is going to be a very disruptive system with significant impacts to daily life. So please be preparing for this. You need to be preparing for this, as this is going to be ushering in quite a lot of moisture, quite a lot of rain, quite a lot of snow, and dangerous threats. And if you're not within the major to extreme snow threat that this is going to be bringing, well, then you're probably in the flood threat. So the Los Angeles metro is within now a moderate risk of excessive rainfall. That means a moderate risk that flash flooding will occur due to this system. If you live in a particularly flood-prone area in the Los Angeles metro, or especially if you're points west of there, you need to be watching this closely and make sure that you have a flooding plan in place. Let's now take a look at the rain totals. So this is just quantitative precipitation, so we're mostly looking at the area within the flood risk for rain totals. The rest of it's probably going to fall as snow, things like that. We'll be taking a look at snow totals, things of that nature soon. But you can see here rather clearly that we're looking at 4, 5, maybe even 6 inches of rain in some spots, especially again heading into the Los Angeles metro. 4 inches or higher of rain is a possibility, and points west also having to deal with that. So we take a look at the forecast, you'll notice there are well over 40 inches of snow expected in more mountainous regions. So 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 feet of snow being a real possibility as the system moves through in local areas, especially in the most mountainous regions. But other regions of California that don't normally get snow could see 3, 6, maybe even 12 inches. So this is going to be rather significant. Make sure that you're keeping an eye on this. This is the current forecast for the next 2 days from the Weather Service. Wouldn't be shocked to see these totals get even higher as we get closer to the main event. All right, well, let's take a look now at the third chapter of this video, and this has to do, it's short, but it is important, with the potential severe weather episode that this same system could bring here on the 26th. This is the second time in recent memory that the Storm Prediction Center has issued a 30% or level 3 out of 5 risk 5 days out in the month of February. We're also going to be seeing this as an unprecedented thing because this is the first time this has happened in the plains in February. So this is looking like it could be a big day. We don't know that for sure yet, but please be keeping an eye on things, especially there if you're in the Texas Panhandle heading into Oklahoma where that 30% region is. It's looking like things could get rather serious there. But if you're in a severe risk at all, you should still be making a plan, as this is going to be a rather serious event, it looks like, by the day of. We'll be keeping you up to date with daily forecast videos here at Advective Weather as we get closer to the main event, but still, this is unprecedented. That's why we're talking about it this far out. All right, well, let's talk about what you can do. If you're caught outdoors in a winter storm, first things first, you need to find shelter. That's really important. But while you're getting there, you need to cover exposed body parts, and you need to make sure that you're exercising in order to keep yourself warm. And then also, if you must get water from snow, please make sure it's melted first, as otherwise you'll be lowering your body temperature to critical levels if you drink too much snow and let it melt in your mouth. All right, here are some other things. If you must travel, especially if in the major and extreme risks, you need to be extremely careful. Every year in the U.S., there are over 1,000 deaths and 100,000 injuries due to vehicle crashes in winter weather. This is serious stuff. This takes lives. You need to be careful if you must travel. And preferably you won't be, especially if in those winter weather conditions. Clean off your vehicle before driving. That's very important, as you need to be able to see the best you can, and you need to make sure those around you can as well. You need to keep it slow and don't use cruise control, as if you hit a slick spot, you need to be in control of your car. So it's very important. If you're in cruise control, you're not in complete control of the car. That can lead to problems rather quickly. And finally, you need to leave extra distance between you and other vehicles in case one of you hits a slick spot, there's a sudden stop that needs to happen, something like that. And you also need to stay very far, especially from snowplows. When it comes to shoveling after the storm, you want to make sure that you're dressing warmly, you're staying hydrated, you're moving only small amounts of snow with each pass of the shovel, so you don't want to overwork yourself, and you want to take frequent breaks. Shoveling heavy, wet snow can cause back injuries and heart attacks, so don't push yourself too hard, as again, you're going to be working very hard because you're already going to be cold, so your body's going to be trying to warm you up and cool you down at the same time. It can cause a lot of problems. Just make sure you're being safe while you're out there shoveling, and preferably wait until after the storm if you can. Final thing for the winter weather stuff, don't forget your pets. This is very important. Even with a natural fur coat, winter weather can be deadly for your pets. Keep them warm and dry, provide plenty of food, and when outside, keep them bundled up. And make sure that that time is limited. Do not leave your pets outside, especially in a situation like this. All right, when it comes to flooding, here's another thing, and this is mostly for those Californian folks. You're in that moderate risk of flooding, so make sure that you know this. Are you located in a floodplain? What are your fastest ways to get to higher ground, and what roads nearby are most likely to flood? This is all important information. You need to make sure that you know what to do if flooding strikes. And here is what to do. There are 3 simple steps in a flash flood safety situation. You want to get to higher ground. You don't want to drive into the water for the love of all that is good. And you want to make sure that you're staying informed, having multiple ways to get weather alerts. When it comes to severe weather, you want to make sure that you have a good storm planning timeline. So right now, we're a few days out, and the forecast is calling for severe weather there in Oklahoma and Texas, heading into Kansas as well in the plains. Make sure that you have emergency supplies, know your safe places, and have family communication plans. And if you want to know more on how to make a plan, we'll be talking about that here in just a minute. The day before, forecast accuracy will continue to improve, so adjust your plans, make sure that you have multiple ways to receive weather alerts and ensure your shelter is clean and accessible, because I'm thinking this is probably going to be something that's going to be lingering here all the way up to the day before, if not the day of. That we're still going to be forecasting this. And then on the day of, remain vigilant and aware of any active watches. A warning could be issued at a moment's notice, reminding your family of your communication plan, knowing how to get to safety, and knowing what to do when a warning is issued. So that's generally the timeline for planning, and here's where you can make a plan at ready.gov/make-a-plan or weather.gov/tornado, depending on what you're looking for. Weather.gov/tornado is great for tornado-specific stuff. Ready.gov/make-a-plan can be used for severe weather plans, flooding plans, winter weather plans, pretty much anything you can think of. They even have stuff so you can make a plan in case of a nuclear bomb dropping. So they have pretty much everything you could imagine over there. So ready.gov/make-a-plan, that's where you go if you want to get your safety game up. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. We hope this video was informative. We'll be having daily updates with time. I know this was a long one. I thank you for bearing with me through this. If you liked the video, hit like. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you tomorrow at the next update. Thank you so much for watching.